Supreme Court cases. They were always my favorite growing up in school. If you want to know my personal favorite Supreme Court case, it's Morse v. Frederick. If you don't know anything about this Supreme Court case, I highly implore you to Google it. Just search "bong rips for Jesus." It's going to pop right up. And it's always been a bucket list item of mine to have my own Supreme Court case. Now I know what you're thinking, but Calvin, don't you have to do something like bad to get a Supreme Court case? No. Trust me. I've done a lot of research. I've wanted to do this for a long time. I have a plan. So in 1893, there's this guy, his name is John Nix, and he imports fruits and vegetables from Bermuda, one of those being the tomato. And just a little bit of backstory for you guys. If you don't know about the tomato, it is a fruit, very much. And you're probably thinking how I'm qualified to tell you that. So I'm from Mississippi, and they didn't teach me a lot at school in Mississippi. They didn't teach me like critical thinking, or the quadratic formula, or like how to read. But I do know a lot about farming. I was raised on the farm. So I can tell you for a fact, the tomato is a fruit. It has seeds, and it grows from a flower. Anyway, so back to John Nix. That guy's pretty interesting. So the Supreme Court, or the government, is taxing him for all of his vegetables, and they include the tomato. Well, my friend John is like, wait a minute, that's not right. The tomato is a fruit. And so he goes to the Supreme Court, he says, hey, you're taxing my tomatoes, they're fruits. And the Supreme Court is like, well, the public perceives tomatoes as a vegetable, then they will be taxed as a vegetable. And so my supreme plan is to create the landmark Supreme Court case, Richey v. U.S., to get justice for the tomato. Yeah! If it grows from a flower, it must be given fruit powers. I can already tell the government and the Supreme Court, they're going to be all on board with this. They're going to get my letter here in a second. They're going to be like, you know what? This kid's on to something. He's got a point. We should totally hear him out. I mean, like, just by the way that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas carries himself, like, I know. He's been waiting and waiting for somebody to write him a letter about the tomato. He feels passionate about this. Anyway, my name is Calvin Richey. Y'all have been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Common Hour, Comedy Hour. My name is Calvin Richey. So the other day, I was hanging out with a couple of my friends, and one of my friends, she starts going around, starts asking everybody, like, if we were at a Starbucks right now, what would you order? She goes around, she starts asking everybody, and she gets to me, and I'm like, well, I'm not really a big coffee drinker, so I probably just wouldn't order anything. And she's like, well, if you did order something, like, what would you order? And I was like, well, like I said, I'm not a big coffee drinker, so probably just order, like, a hot chocolate or something. She's like, you're wrong! You wouldn't! You would order a caramel frappuccino. I'm just like, well, why is that? Like, why would I do that? And she's like, because you're a Cancer, and that's what you're supposed to do. I've always, like, astrology has always been sort of weird to me. I've never really understood it. It's something I don't really, like, I'm not a huge fan of. For me personally, it feels like it allows people to conform to negative, like, aspects of their life. Another thing that we have, it's big in the South where I'm from, is Enneagrams. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's basically like this personality test you take, and it basically tells you, like, the things that you do. And Enneagrams really, really frustrate me. So, like, I'll be having a conversation with my friends, they'll be talking about how their room's really dirty, and I'll just be like, well, why don't you just clean your room? She's like, well, it's because I'm a 7, and 7s don't really clean their rooms. That's really not part of their personalities. I don't think that's the point of that. Or I'll be talking to, like, a girl at, like, a restaurant or something. She'd be like, oh, you're just the sweetest, but we can't date because I'm a 4 and you're an 8. And I was like, well, yeah, I know that, but I was trying to throw you a bone. Me, personally, I have a much more scientific way to do things. So I'm big on Nintendo Switch. I have one in my dorm, and I absolutely love playing it. And so one of the ways I get a really good read of a person is I'll invite them over to my dorm, and we can play Nintendo Switch. I'm very big on Mario Party. And that's how I figure people out. So what's your name? Bryce, how are you doing tonight, Bryce? So if I invite you over to my dorm and we start playing Mario Party, who would you pick? Princess Peach, Princess Peach. You think you're the main character, don't you? You really think you're the star of the show. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You, sir, what's your name? I'm sorry? Melvin, how are you doing? You're great? If I fire up Mario Party, who are you picking? What was that? Melvin? Respectfully? Burn in hell. Bowser. What a clown pick. Bowser. Think you're better than me? That's a shame. That's a shame. What's your name? Amir? Amir? If I play Mario Party, who are you picking? Mario? Mario? You must have owned a Switch too. You always wanted to be the main character. You always wanted to be player one. You probably got like a younger brother. You push around a little bit. Yeah. I respect that. But anyway, like this concept works with pretty much any video game. I was big on the sports video games growing up. I still really am because my parents didn't let me play violent video games, and so I played a lot of like NCAA football. If you pick Alabama, you're the scum of the earth. You simply are. Same with Ohio State. Same concept. If you pick one of those teams, you're the scum of the earth. You deserve to be with Melvin and Bowser down in hell. That's a fact. And the same with like my favorite NBA basketball game, NBA 2K17. You pick the Warriors, you're the scum of the earth. Now, the Cavs are different because LeBron is daddy. Hey, my name's Calvin Richey. Howdy. So, I'm from Mississippi, the state where if being last was a competition, we would be first. And I've been single my entire life. Call me picky, but I just prefer my women with teeth. But I think the reason that I've been single is this sort of irrational fear that I have of talking to women or just like anybody in general. And so one of the ways that I combat this is my friends and I created this sort of like alter ego for me. His name is Country Cal. And Country Cal is pretty much everything that I'm not. He's smooth and suave, and he's real country. And at this point in the day, he's probably drunk. But I've always had a lot of respect for the way Country Cal could just put the moves on. He kind of moseys on up. He's got a little country step in him. Walk up to a girl. Howdy. Name's Country Cal. You ever been in a Nissan Altima? Things moves. We can go right down the road, take you on a date to Walmart. That's all we got in Mississippi, just roads and Walmarts. Yeah, but I don't think that Country Cal would work in New Jersey. I don't know what it is. Something about you guys having IQs just renders him completely useless. Speaking of New Jersey, you guys are weird. Like, you don't like to turn left. It's something I've noticed. It's very strange to me. Like, I really don't understand that. Like in the South, like we love NASCAR, but you guys live it. I swear in New Jersey, the state motto should be New Jersey, where 3 rights make a left. It just boils my blood because I'm riding down the turnpike trying to get to Wendy's, and everybody's going way faster than I am because you just have to get everywhere. Like it's okay. It's still going to be there when you get there. You don't have to go so fast. And then I got to take like a bunch of rights to turn around, and all I want to do is get my goddamn chicken sandwich. It's got me more fired up than a fly on a front porch. Also, ginger ale. I've never really understood your obsession with ginger ale. Like, out of all the beverages you could choose to drink, you guys choose the one that tastes like a literal illness. Like, every region of this country has its own specific, like, beverage. Like, the South has sweet tea. Out west, they got some shit laced with kale. And then in the North, we drink ginger ale. And that's something I've never really understood. Also, like, manners. Like, not to say that you guys don't have them, but I'll tell you a story. I was in class the other day, and my media writing teacher was going off about something, and everybody in the class was silent. She finally asked, she says, hey, did anybody get the assignment on Blackboard that I posted? And no one said anything. So obviously, like, I want to be respectful. So I say, yes, ma'am, it was there. And everybody in the class made fun of me.
it was kind of sad. Even the teacher, she was like, "Damn, I didn't know we were at a military school." I was like, "Man, you didn't have to say all that." Anyway, thank you guys so much. My name is Cal. You guys have been fantastic.